Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. This game is a whole lot of fun. So I got to play the Star Wars Beta on the PS4, and man did I enjoy myself. So in this video I'm going to talk specifically about the beta and my experience with it. I'm not going to go into too much detail describing the game itself because I figure that you guys have either played it, or you've seen other videos on it, or you've read about it. So as I said, I'm going to talk about my impressions on the game based on this beta and how well I think the beta itself performed. Now, despite me saying that the game is absolutely awesome, and I do believe it is awesome, it's not without its problems, but overall, based on this small sample of the game, I think that what DICE has done is absolutely amazing. I think it's probably the best Star Wars game that I have ever played. But that's an important thing to remember. This was only a very small preview of the game. There are still heaps of unknowns, such as how do the other modes play? Is there more depth to the class setups and weapons? How do the character customizations work? What are the full list of weapons? What are the other hero characters? Are there other hero characters? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we just don't know about the game. Now the beta, as most people have commented, feels pretty light on features, but you can get an idea of how much content they've stripped out, because when you look at the menu, there's a whole bunch of things and different modes that have been disabled. So in terms of criticizing the game in this department, I think it's way too early, and we're going to have to wait and see the full version of the game before we criticize how much content it has. In terms of presentation, again, without saying too much and going into too much detail, I think it looks and sounds absolutely incredible. If you're into Star Wars, and even if you have a slight interest in Star Wars, I think you're going to really dig this. It goes without saying that all the laser blasts and all the music is totally on point, but certain sound effects like I'm not sure what it is, there's like a more powerful grenade that you can pick up off the ground, and the explosion noise that this thing makes is very, very impressive, and you can hear it from pretty much anywhere on the level. It's absolutely awesome. It's full of those quintessential Star Wars moments that makes you feel like a kid. Like every time I got to play as Vader or fly an X-Wing, I just felt like I was 12 years old again, or even younger, because I was way younger when these movies came out. In terms of the rest of the presentation, I really like the UI. I think it's really clean, well designed. For the most part, there's a few things that could be tidied up, but compared to most other games, yeah, I think they've done a really good job in this department. Gameplay feels solid and responsive. It's definitely not as twitchy as a Call of Duty game, but there's nowhere near the steep learning curve that you would get from a typical Battlefield game. So I think that people who are really into first-person shooters will be able to pick up and play this very easily, but even people who don't play a lot of first-person shooters, or even first-person shooters at all, I think will be able to pick this up quite easily and learn it. This goes for the vehicles as well. They take a little bit of getting used to, but it's nowhere near as difficult to fly a TIE fighter as it is trying to fly a helicopter in Battlefield. The two modes provided two very different types of experiences, Drop Zone being fast-paced and Walker Assault feeling more like a typical Battlefield game type. Both required players to work as a team, particularly the Walker Assault, but I still enjoyed myself when I was lone wolfing it. The two hero characters, Vader and Skywalker, that were playable were easily the hardest components of the game to use, and I think that's what made them super scary when they were in the right hands or in the hands of a player who knew how to use them. But having said that, it also feels pretty awesome when you nail either of them from across the map. There's a lot of talk about overpowered stuff, such as the turrets. I think Hutch mentioned it in the video. I personally think the AT-STs might need to be dialed back a little bit, and the hero characters are really, really powerful as well. And also the AT-ATs. There's a bunch of stuff that could potentially be overpowered. But I'm not sure it's necessarily overpowered as much as it is people just haven't really learnt how to deal with them yet. I noticed that when 2 or 3 people teamed up to take down an AT-ST, it really didn't take that long at all. The thing doesn't have that great armor, and this was just with blasters. So I think if people, start communicating and working better as a team, it'll be much easier to take down these turrets and vehicles. So let's talk about performance. Obviously this was a beta, so the whole idea was to test the game's performance as it is, and from my experience it was pretty damn rock solid throughout. I never had a game disconnect, and apart from a tiny bit of lag in a few games, it ran without issue for me, which was pretty impressive. I must say, I am disappointed about the fact that it's only running at 900p on the PS4, and apparently only 720p on the Xbox One. Battlefield 4 runs at 1080p on the PS4, which does seem a little suspicious. Like, hopefully it's not due to some kind of display parity agreement between Microsoft and Sony and EA and DICE and all that, and that the PS4 has been dialed back so that, the Xbox One version doesn't look completely crap. But I don't know, it just seems weird. Like, if the game is lighter on features, then it definitely should be able to run at 1080p on the PS4. Now, I know that some people say that you really can't see the difference between 900 and 1080p, but to those people I say you either need to get some glasses or get a better TV or monitor, because there is a big difference, my friend. So overall, I was pretty damn impressed by this beta. I'm really excited for the game to come out in just a little over a month, and at this point, unless the game has some critical flaws, I think it's almost a guaranteed purchase for me. I'll wait and see how it reviews, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick this one up on launch. I think some people were expecting a Star Wars skinned Battlefield game, and I think that's why you're getting a lot of people being disappointed, because it really isn't a Battlefield game. And likewise, people expecting a traditional Battlefront game will probably say that it feels too much like Battlefield. Hutch made another good point in one of his videos where he said that if this game didn't have the Star Wars brand attached to it, like it was just a generic sci-fi game, that it wouldn't be nearly as fun, and I'd have to agree with him. I think if this was just a typical sci-fi, even if it was a really good sci-fi but it wasn't attached to the Star Wars brand, I don't think you would have as many memorable moments. Like, there's just so many moments, particularly on the Hoth stage, where you'll be running around and there'll be TIE fighters and X-Wings battling above you, and AT-STs walking around you, and explosions, and then you'll hear Darth Vader in the distance, and regardless of what you're doing in that moment, you're probably not even doing much, probably just running across the snow. It just feels awesome. It really feels like you're in the movie. So that's all I've got to say about the beta at this point. I did sink a fair few hours into it and I really enjoyed myself. But let me know if you guys got to play it and what you think of the game, if you've played previous Battlefront games and how it compares to that, and if you're a Battlefield fan, how you think it compares to that, and if it should be more like Battlefield or less, and all those different things. Just pull them out of your brains and jam them into the comment section. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you later. See ya.